welcome. I'm Manisha from Finis, and today we are going to talk a little about what we are doing towards our corporate social responsibility. At Finis, our vision is to positively impact the lives of people around us. In line with this thought process, we have committed to spend 1% of our revenue through the Finis Foundation, and this is primarily aimed at uplifting the healthcare and education of society. Learning Space is one of the steps towards this. Today we have Aarti Gupta with us, who has been instrumental in establishing the learning spaces in various parts of rural India. Hi Aarti.
Hi Manisha.
How are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Thank you. I'm doing good as well. Tell us something about the learning spaces.
Learning Spaces is about falling in love with learning once again. It's an endeavor to bridge the gap in traditional schooling and nurture traits like creativity, collaboration, curiosity, critical thinking, and problem solving.
You mentioned gaps in traditional schooling. What do you mean by that?
So tell me, how many students were in your class back when you went to school, Manisha?
Lots, maybe 40, 50.
And would you say they were at a different level of learning?
Definitely, they were all learning differently.
Right. And they loved different subjects.
Of course.
They had different temperaments, different styles of learning.
True.
Right. So how do you expect a teacher, a single teacher, to cater to 50, 60 students in a class? How do you expect her to engage so many students? So they are at a different level. Now, what level should the teacher teach at? Should the teacher teach at the level of the topmost student, the average student, or the bottom student? So if you see in a traditional schooling, the way the teaching is done, either the top or the bottom, somebody is going to be left out.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you see in the traditional schooling, there's a lot of teaching happening, but is there learning happening? What do you think?
Yes, you have a point there.
Right? So maybe there is some learning happening, but is it happening to the extent that we would like to have?
Exactly.
Not really, right? So currently the focus is, we have a curriculum as a teacher, and the teacher wants to finish that curriculum as soon as possible.
Yes.
Tell me, have you ever asked a question in a class? What was happening to students who asked too many questions?
Yeah, they are asked to sit down.
They're asked to sit down, exactly. Because there is no bandwidth to, have answer questions, have a debate, understand, apply, right? So the idea is, you get certificates and then you go and look out for a job. And when you go and start working, what is the buzzword in office today?
Innovation.
Innovation, right?
Yeah.
How do I innovate? Wasn't my curiosity killed when I asked those questions and I was asked to sit down, isn't it? And then when we go and work, we are made part of a team, right? And how much of collaboration did you learn at school? It was all about competition or collaboration?
Yeah, it's mostly about competition.
It's about competition, right? So think about me as an individual, right? I've spent my life competing with others. I proved that, I was the most amazing kid. And there I go and I'm asked to collaborate. I have no idea how to collaborate with people, right? So if you see, there are these gaps where we as a whole education system, we are failing to produce individuals who are required in the organizations tomorrow. So when I say gap, this is primarily what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So what do learning spaces look like?
So when you walk into a learning space, you would see a huge room, maybe of the size of 20 by 30 or larger. There are computers connected to broadband internet. There are books. There are games, puzzles. There is a trained coordinator who facilitates activities. You would also see happy children working in teams on some or the other project. And if you go to a community learning space, you would see women there. At times, women come in, they look for a recipe, they just learn computers, they do their, mini finance group activities there. So learning spaces are buzzing places.
So how many of such learning spaces do you have, and how many children are there?
Currently, Manisha, we have 2 learning spaces. Both of them are near Mysore, about an hour drive, in villages of Haikanuru and Muttati. And in all, we have 300 children.
That's a nice number.
Indeed.
So I'm guessing you don't have a set curriculum.
Yes, you guessed it right. We don't have a set curriculum, but what we do is we take important concepts from English, science, maths, geography, history, economics, which we think every individual should know, and then we design activities around that. So, for example, let me give you an example. If suppose you to talk about living and non-living things, we would not go around teaching that what is living, what is non-living. I would ask a question like dosa is made of rice, which comes from a plant which is living. So, is dosa living or non-living?
Okay, so it gets them thinking.
It gets them thinking, exactly. And that's the point which is missing in the traditional schooling.
Right.
We don't think, we just accept, right? So what happens is when you throw a question, they start thinking and they start doing their research. And then I go a step further and then I say, if you have to define how can one identify whether something is living or non-living, create your own rules, right? And then I go further and I say, if you could turn yourself into anything, what would you want to turn yourself into? Is it going to be a living thing or a non-living thing? Why? So, we're doing activity. We've covered the science concept, and we've also covered an activity and writing and thinking basically with it.
Right.
There's a writing prompt. So that's how we cover concepts.
Okay, so these activities are around these subjects, or do you do something apart from these things?
We do apart from these things. As I said, there's a huge focus on developing critical thinking and curiosity. So we do a lot of puzzles, critical thinking puzzles. It could be jigsaw puzzles. It could be finishing a pattern, finishing a number series. It could be all jumbles, word games, stuff like that. And then we do a lot of stuff around personality development with things like art and dance and drama.
That covers a whole spectrum of topics and skills.
That's the idea.
That's great. And how do you monitor progress the child has made?
We basically measure 4 things. We measure reading comprehension, maths, critical thinking, and presentation skills.
Okay, that's adequate, I guess.
And basically you would realize, Manisha, that even if the most brilliant minds sometimes have a problem to stand in front of people and express their ideas.
Yes.
And that's one ability which is really needed in the future. So we say we're going to measure that as well.
So tell me, what is your vision?
My vision, Manisha, is to have one learning space in every Gram Panchayat in India.
That's a great vision to have, Aarti, and I'm so glad we are part of it. Wish we are successful in creating the environment of learning that we have set out for. Thank you, Aarti.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me over.